You want to know how I know that you all are my people? My favorite videos to film and do are consistently your favorite videos to watch. So we're like right there. You are my people for sure. And today's video has been one of my favorite videos that I've ever filmed. Was an idea from one of you, and I have gotten more requests to repeat this challenge than anything else on this channel. So I just love you guys. And my coffee's a good one today. This is gonna be a good day. Hey guys, we are back with another one. We are, first of all, let's just address the gigantic elephant in the room. We are homey and homely to the max in full effect today. My husband is working day shift, both of my boys are in school, and I quite literally never have a day where the house is quiet and I have it to myself. Literally ever. Our house always has something going on and someone in it at all times. And when that happened, when I knew that was going to be happening today, I said, I am staying in my sweats. I am putting my hair in a sloppy, messy top knot, and I am reading all day long. That is my big plans for the day today. So I was thinking to myself, honestly, to be completely honest with you, I had a couple of other challenges and video ideas on my list that I have, but I had so much fun doing this video last time, and the comments were all like, you have to do this more often. This was so much fun that I disregarded everything else on my list. And we're just gonna do this again because you only live once and I want to do things I enjoy. So without further ado, let's let Hogwarts pick our reads this month. Again, part 2. Okay, she's back. Here is our Hogwarts Pick My Reads spin wheel. So for anyone who didn't watch the first video, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna link it in the description down below. I do kind of like a more in-depth dive, but the very basic idea of this challenge is that I added, I think there's over 200 Hogwarts characters, landmarks, objects, and by Hogwarts, I mean Harry Potter, guys. I guess it wouldn't be Hogwarts landmarks and objects. It would be Harry Potter landmarks and objects, but you get my point. To this spin wheel, and every single item, character, slice has a prompt that goes along with it that is going to determine the next book I read. So, as with all of my spin wheels and overcomplicated challenges, it's a lot harder to explain it in words, and it's a lot easier to just play, and you guys will figure it out as it goes along because it is not very complicated. So, let's go ahead and do spin number 1. Do we randomize? This one we do. Okay, so let's randomize it first. Shuffle. Did it do it? All right, there you go. It officially did it. So let's go ahead and do spin number 1. Are we gonna do new ones this month? Or are we gonna repeat what we got last month? There are so many things on this wheel. I'm so nervous. Peeves! The Slytherin house ghost, who's a mischievous troublemaker, a poltergeist, if you will. I can only imagine what this prompt is going to be, but it's probably not going to be good. All right, let me go grab my phone. We'll throw the prompt up on the screen and figure out what Peeves is going to force me to read. Oh my God. Okay, phone obtained. Let's get to my note with all my prompts. But I'm gonna go ahead and assume that whatever Peeves has chosen is probably not going to be good for me. Let's just face it. All right, let's figure this out. Where is my note? Here it is. Okay, scrolling down to P. Okay, ready? Oliver Wood, Pansy Parkinson, Peeves. Let's read it together. I'm so nervous. Okay. Peeves. Mischievous, sometimes mean, antagonistic ghost that haunts Hogwarts. Read a mystery thriller with a mischievous or scary ghost character. What in the heck? Okay, let's check out our TBR first. I don't think I have anything that would fit that. Okay. Not Hello Stranger, not The Familiar, not Gilded. Okay. I officially don't have anything on the TBR that matches that, which means we are going to have to dig through shelves. Let's go find some options. Peeves. I knew you were going to do me dirty. Very peevish of you, but let's go. Okay. Before we even start, we are a judgment-free zone here. And my sons had a little sleepover and slept downstairs in our in-law suite. And I have to strip the bed of the sheets now and wash them, so I'm not going to bother remaking the bed. So the bed is not made. The pillows are thrown on the ground because children are slobs. So do not judge as I'm going through my shelves. I'm aware that my bed isn't made. Calm down. Okay? The sheets are getting washed. So judgment-free zone. We are homey and homely in all aspects of life today. If you could relate that your beds are unmade and your laundry needs to be done, comment something down below. Okay, back from our search, and we have officially come up with 3 options that I think fits the bill. I said this the last time we filmed these videos, and whenever I'm doing like a prompt-based video, sometimes we have to give me a little bit of creative licensing because obviously these are books that I have not read before. So I'm going on either what I've heard, reviews I've heard, or most often what I'll do is when I find a book that might fit the prompt, I go on to Goodreads, and if you scroll down on Goodreads, it will give you a list of genres and tropes that Goodreads reviewers have left for these books. So obviously, these are books I haven't read. I don't know that they fit the bill, but based on what I've heard and the tropes officially listed on Goodreads for these books, I think these sound like they fit the prompts. So let's talk about them. Okay, so according to Mischievous Mr. Peeves, we had to find a mystery thriller with a mischievous or scary ghost character. So the first book I grabbed was How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. Now listen, I don't know what this book is about, but if how to sell a haunted house doesn't involve a mischievous ghost, I don't know what does. I have said before that I do not like knowing the synopses of mystery thrillers before I go into them because if you read too much, it is not mystery or it is not mysterious or thrilling, I should say. So I don't want to know much about this, but I believe it's about a person who is put to the task of selling a family's home and obviously finds out that maybe it's haunted. I don't know, but I do know that Goodreads lists it as follows: horror, fiction, thriller, paranormal, mystery, adult, mystery thriller, contemporary, supernatural. So that sounds like this might fit the bill. Next, I grabbed Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulic? I don't know how to pronounce this, but I know that this book is done in a mixed media fashion, I believe. It's about a little boy who draws a lot and draws pictures a lot, but as he is taken care of by a caregiver, the pictures become increasingly more disturbing and sinister, I think is what I've gathered from this book. I was kind of surprised by this because when I looked at Goodreads, it is listed as horror, mystery, fiction, mystery thriller, paranormal, suspense, thriller, adult, supernatural. So maybe some mischievous paranormal behavior? Last but not least, the third book I grabbed was The Spite House by Johnny Compton. This I have heard very little about. In full disclosure, I grabbed this because it was on sale. I think this might have been a Book Outlet grab or maybe like a clearance Books A Million grab when I went there. If you haven't watched my other videos, I live like an hour and a half away from Books A Million, but it happens to be like 20 minutes away from my family's home. So whenever I'm visiting my family and I have an excuse to drive the 20 minutes in that direction, which is typically because there's a Cold Stone in the same plaza and I use getting ice cream for my kids as an excuse to go take a trip through Books A Million, I go in there. But if you have not checked out Books A Million's clearance section, it's insane. I swear to you, I probably got this book for like $4. So I grabbed it because it sounded interesting. I believe it's about a man who is a paranormal investigator and for a job moves himself and his kids into this home and strange paranormal things start happening. But when I look on Goodreads, it's listed as follows: horror, fiction, paranormal, gothic, thriller, adult, mystery, ghosts. Specifically ghosts, supernatural. The other ones were listed as paranormal, but this one, oh my God. Jeez Louise, as I almost throw the book across the room. This one is specifically listed as ghosts. And the prompt, if I need remind you again, says, read a mystery thriller with a mischievous or scary ghost character. So, if we're talking about which of these three specifically fits the Peeves prompt the best, it admittedly probably isn't my first choice, if I'm being honest. My first choice, I think, is Hidden Pictures because it sounds interesting and I'm very intrigued by the mixed media writing style. But I think I have to go with Spite House because it's specifically a mystery thriller with ghosts. And I think this one encompasses the Peeves vibe the most, right? Like if Peeve was going to live in any of these books, if Peeves was going to leave the Slytherin common room and leave the Hogwarts grounds and go and make an appearance in another book outside the HP series world, I think Peeves would go to this house, right? I'm going with Spite House by Johnny Compton. So this is a no. This is an absolute no. This is a hot mess express. I got 35 pages into this book and I am so angry. So angry. That is 40 minutes of my life I will never get back. This is trash. Yeah, no. Sorry guys, I can't. I've never been more upset in my life. I can't do this. This is the happiest, most confident DNF I've had in a really long time. I am not literally even going to waste another, 10 minutes of my time talking about this book, thinking about this book. This will be the fastest dump in the trash that I have ever done. I'm not going to say anything about this. We're going to respin. We're going to pick another book. Here's the other thing I'm going to say, because I know down in the comments people are going to be like, why didn't you like it? Why didn't you like it? If you want a political commentary on racial divisiveness in America masquerading as a paranormal thriller, read this book. Like, one little comment, ignored. Second little comment, ignored. Third little comment, I'm getting kind of irked. Like, okay, can we just get to the ghosts? All right. By the fourth, fifth, and sixth, and then this last egregious comment that personally offended me, I was like, I can't do it. I have never just been more grossed out in my entire life. So this is a no, and I'm happily throwing it in the trash can the second this camera goes off. But that's all done. Let me grab my iPad and let's respin for another prompt because not happening, guys. Okay, so getting off of that nonsense, I am so ready to spin again. As you can see, it is incredibly laid out. So I'm probably not going to start this book tonight. I might. Maybe I'll go lay in bed and do the first couple of chapters. You know what I'm saying? But at least I'll know what I'm reading for tomorrow. So here was our Peeves prompt. Let's go ahead and spin again and see what we're going to get. I'm so ready to move on from that book. I can't even tell you. Let's see. Let's hope we get something like dramatically different in this prompt. There's so many, I can't tell what it's going to be. Diagon Alley, my favorite place in the Harry Potter series. Okay, this has to be good. I do not, like, honestly, I wrote these prompts literally like a month and a half ago, and I do not remember what this is, but let me grab my phone and we'll find out. Okay, officially have my phone. We have to scroll, at least it won't take as long to scroll to Peeves, but okay. Scrolling down to Diagon Alley. Okay, here it is. Are you guys ready? Let's throw it up on the screen. Okay, ready? Diagon Alley, the magical shopping center of the wizard world and my favorite place in the entire series. I told you. Read a book with an author whose name is some form of alley. Oh, interesting. Okay, so some form of alley. Oh my gosh, off the top of my head. Alley. Alley. I'm trying to think off the top of my head if I know one. All right, let's go search really quick. Okay, so I was able to find a couple of options that I think fit our prompt, which is an author that has some form of the word alley in their name. So let's talk about which ones I found. Okay, so the first book I grabbed off my shelves was The Swell by Ali Reynolds. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm not going to get too far into this because I thought about just like leaving it on my shelves and not even presenting this as an option, but her name is Ali. This is nothing against this book. I'm sure it could possibly be great, but I'm just so turned off right now from The Spite House that I'm thinking I need to pivot and not do like a thriller vibe. I'm already not a huge fan of that genre, and I think I'm not going to be able to give like an unbiased, uninfluenced review of this book because my attitude right now is just like off the charts. So I'm just like, I want to go into this book when I have more of like a clear head for the mystery thriller genre. So I don't even think I'm going to waste too much time on this, but her name is Ali, so I wanted to pull it. I just think I really do need to just kind of like pivot into a new direction genre-wise, you know? It'll pull me out of my annoyance. So the next book I pulled off my shelves was The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I have only read Bride by Ali Hazelwood, and I think, did I read Checkmate? I don't remember, but I did read Bride by Ali Hazelwood, and I really, really liked it. It was her foray into like Omegaverse vampire fantasy, and this is her bread and butter of her STEM romances, but I've heard really good things about this. I've heard it's a little quirky, but it's really cute, so I could go into this. Next up, don't pay too much attention by how beat up this book is. I have had this literally forever, and I got it off of, similar to Spite House, I got it off of the Books A Million clearance rack, and this was a brand new release when I grabbed it. And the reason why it was a brand new release on the clearance rack is because the cover had gotten kind of like torn up and ripped up, and I was like, I don't care, I take the covers off when I read anyways. And that is The Blonde Identity by Ali Carter. I don't know if you can tell, but it's a little beat up here on the top. I don't know much about this book, but I think it's about a girl who ends up with amnesia and is told that she is a spy, I think. Spies, amnesia, and banter that'll make you chant, kiss, 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 No one writes an action rom-com quite like Ally Carter. Action rom-com vibe. Also, the writing is pretty big, and this is a cute little 285 page book, so definitely could knock a book off pretty quickly this week. This next book I grabbed off of some Bookstagram like recommendation, and I don't even really remember grabbing it, to be completely honest with you. And I've seen it on my shelves being like, I literally don't think I've ever read the back of this book. Maybe I have, I don't know, but I don't know anything about it. And that is American Gauntlet by Ali Lewis. I could not tell you what this is about. It says 2 sisters, 7 teams, 1 grueling competition, 1 life-changing cash prize. American Gauntlet is the #1 reality TV competition in the nation, and when Danny De Laurentiis gets the call that she and her sister Lana have been selected as contestants, she knows this is her one opportunity to change her family's life for the better. After months of intense training, she and Lana embark on the adventure of a lifetime as they attempt to take on the gauntlet. Danny soon finds, though, that the American Gauntlet experience will be more than just excruciating physical challenges. Not only is she tackling grueling trials, fending off teams that are gunning for her, and dealing with the psychological warfare of the month-long competition, she also finds herself battling growing feelings for her biggest competitor, Joss. But what none of the contestants know is American Gauntlet has game twists they can never see coming. Oh, that kind of sounds good, though. Okay, this one might be a consideration. And this last one, I think it counts. I don't know. The reminder, the prompt said some form of the name Ally. So I think it counts, but comment below if you disagree with me. I grabbed A Fragile Enchantment by Allison Saft. Allison? Ally? I don't know. To me that counts. A-L-L-I, it has Ally in it, right? So to me it counts. This is a little Regency YA fantasy. I think our main female character is a seamstress who sews magic into her dresses. And I'm pretty sure this is the book where she gets commissioned to make the wedding dress for the royal wedding, I believe. I don't know, but I've heard really cute things about it. So maybe like a little YA. Like this would definitely be the biggest pivot, I think, from the mystery thriller, is to go into like a YA little romantasy. Okay, so looking at my stack, I already said the swell is just going to go ahead and get knocked off. Sorry, but not in the mood for another mystery thriller. So I have The Love Hypothesis, The Blonde Identity, American Gauntlet, and A Fragile Enchantment. Okay, so as much as I want to read The Love Hypothesis at some point, I just don't think I'm in the mood for Ali Hazelwood's type of rom-com, you know what I'm saying? Like kind of cringy, kind of quirky. I think right now, coming off of the book I just came off of and DNFing something, this might just kind of irritate me. And once again, I don't want to do a disservice to the book because I do love Ali Hazelwood's writing. So I think I'm going to save this just for another time. So Blonde Identity, American Gauntlet, Ali Lewis. Or Fragile Enchantment. Okay. As good as this one sounds, it's really long and it seems kind of dense. So I think I'm going to wait for American Gauntlet as well. So I'm between Blonde Identity and action comedy, right? Is that what it says? Action rom-com or A Fragile Enchantment. Oh, I don't know. What would you do? I think I'm gonna go with The Fragile Enchantment. I've been wanting to read this for a really long time, and for some reason, a cute little YA romantasy, romance little magical vibe is calling to me right now. So I think we're gonna pick up A Fragile Enchantment next. And now that I'm thinking about it, I am feeling more and more exhausted as the evening goes on, so I think I am going to go to bed for the night and we will pick up in the morning. Okay, I come with an update. I'm trying to figure out what is going on. I'm trying to figure out what is going on, okay? there's two options here. Spite House either irritated me so badly that it put me into a slump and I am now in a full-blown book slump, or we have just seemingly found another book that's kind of just blah. Like, just not bad, but just doing nothing for me. I am currently 152 pages and 13 chapters in. I think that's about 48% of the way through the book. And like I said, I'm not disliking it. It's not horrible. The writing is decent. The font is big. Like, you can fly through this book. I probably, if I was enjoying it more, I probably could have flown through this in one day. Like, if it was one of those books that you pick up and can't put down, I probably could have finished it in 24 hours. But because right now it's sitting at like a 2.5 star read, like just perfectly average, just perfectly mediocre book to me right now, I'm not flying through it, because honestly, there have been times when I've sat down with the intention of finishing out the rest of this book and I read literally like 5 pages, pick up my phone, and 2 hours goes by and I'm like, I haven't read at all. Like, I just don't want to pick it up. It's just not, I'm not sucked in. Like, I'm not liking it. I'm just finding the characters very flat. I'm not connected to them at all. They're incredibly unengaging characters for me. I can't relate to them. I don't really care what happens to them. Like I said, just totally unengaging and flat. And then the actual plot, almost like just barely under 50% of the way through the book, nothing has happened. I'm bored. Literally nothing has happened. It's Regency fantasy. Like, I'm assuming romance, but we've seen none of it at this point, 50% of the way through the book. If you haven't read A Fragile Enchantment, it is about our main female character, Neve. I'm saying Neve. It might be Neva. This is how they spell it, but I did look it up, and the Gaelic pronunciation is Neva, or Neve, I believe. I've been saying Neve. Our main female character, Neve, who is from Mockland, which is a community, of like more lower class community in this world. And she has a unique ability to sow feelings, emotions, and abilities to imbue it into the thread that she then can sew into garments. And because of this ability, she is called to the royal castle to create pieces for the royal wedding that's going on. It's not exactly like the Prince Regent, like it's not the direct descendant of the king's son, but it's his little brother. So it's like, you know, with like the heir and the spare. So it's the spare's wedding. And that's essentially really all that's happened. There's a little inkling of maybe like a Mocklish, like lower caste system rebellion. We've gotten like hints at it, and the servants in the royal castle are certainly feeling pretty hostile towards the nobility, and there's a little bit of a hint at it, but nothing really. Also, really nothing specific in way of like romance. I think I know who our love interest is going to be, and there's maybe like a bit of flirtation, but not interesting flirtation at all. I don't know, guys. I don't know what's going on. Like I said, I am either in a full-blown slump and there's nothing wrong with this book and it's just me right now and I'm just not into it, or this is just kind of blah. Like just flat, average, not exciting me. I don't know. Also, the writing is feeling very YA up to this point. Not really any like immature decisions from the characters yet that have irritated me. Like nothing has super irked me yet, but just very young writing, which it is YA, so come to expect that. I think it's just yet another thing that's kind of not fully sucking me into the world, but it is what it is, I guess. Oh, I don't know if we've ever had a video where we have like struck out this much. I don't know. So here's my thing. Like I said, it's sitting currently at like a 2.5 star. If it does pick up in the last 50% of the book, which admittedly is usually where most of the action happens on the back end of the book. You know what I'm saying? If it does pick up in the last half, and if I do become more connected to the characters in the last half, I might be able to bump it up to a 3, but I would be absolutely mind blown if this book went above a 3. So I guess at the end of the book, we'll figure out whether it's me or the book. Who knows? Also, this book is so obviously Bridgerton coded and Bridgerton inspired. There is like pretty much direct parallels to Bridgerton. Also not completely parallel, but our main male character is giving me super Anthony vibes from Bridgerton. Like if you know, you know, like the very broody, kind of borderline rude but intriguing main male character who has so much pressure on his shoulders to perform for his family. Like that's kind of the vibe that the main male character is giving to me. And as I'm reading in Kit's perspective and reading about him, I'm picturing Anthony Bridgerton in my mind. So that's something else, just very obviously Bridgerton inspired. So like I said, I'm 50% of the way through the book. I think I probably have another 100 and probably like 80 something pages left, something like that. I'm really hoping that I could just discipline myself and focus today and get the rest of this book done, because honestly, I'm just kind of ready to be done with it and I'm ready to move on. I need to scrub my irritation from Spite House out of my head and just move on. So let's see if I can get this done today. I am back and I've officially finished A Fragile Enchantment. And guys, I have thoughts. Let's start out with my rating. I am giving this a completely average, right down the middle, 2.5 stars. I know that seems low, but remember that from a scale of 0 to 5, 2.5 is perfectly average, right in the middle. And that is how I feel about this book. It's just meh, just average, fine, perfectly mid. That's just what it is. If I had to sum up my feelings about this book in one word, it would probably just be like blah. And that sounds so harsh, but is it the greatest thing I've ever read? Absolutely not. Not even close. Is it the worst thing I ever read? Absolutely not. Not even close. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. My more negative gripes with this book was it was stylistic. To put it bluntly, this book is just not very well written. And I actually made some notes because as I was reading, I kind of jotted down some thoughts and some examples as I went through the book of what exactly I was feeling at that moment. So I just said it was not well written. I said the plot had a lack of focus, which I absolutely think made this book suffer. The plot and the characters were trying to do too much to the point where it completely lost the plot, pun intended. It had a lack of focus and there was just too much going on. And I said, it's okay when it's well done, but this one wasn't. So then what you're left with is basically just like holes in the plot that are never explained, and it causes a lot of things that are just never resolved. So the book feels incomplete. And when a book feels incomplete, I have trouble connecting with the characters. The characters were not well developed. I never cared about them. Not for 1 second, even in the meat and potatoes of the book, like right in the middle where you're really into the story and you're supposed to know these characters and be invested in them. I could not care less. about what happened to a single one of these characters. And even when I'm not 100% in love with main characters, usually there's that like one side character that I'm really pulling for or really into, or I look forward to their banter. There was not one character in this book that I gave a single crap about. I couldn't care less. And even when the main conflict of the book was happening, I wasn't like on the edge of my seat. I didn't care how it was resolved. It was just such a blah, boring, meandering book, and it just was not well written, guys. I'm sorry if you love this book, but in my opinion, there was just really, the writing really killed any potential that this book had, because the story sounded so promising, and what killed this was the style of the writing. Let's see what else I put. Characters were underdeveloped and flat, which made the romance unengaging. Yeah, like I said, I didn't care. Most of the characters have unresolved past relationships that they still very much had romantic feelings for, so I couldn't root for the new relationship the author was trying to build. I just couldn't connect with the characters. Absolutely. All of these characters were somehow like interconnected romantically, either in the past or literally in the recent past with another character in the book, but they were like trying to move on with another character, but they were still tied up in the past romantically with this other character. So I was just like, wait a minute, I'm not pulling for them. Like, I don't want them to get together because they're still carrying around baggage from their old relationship and they're still like into their ex. It was just very strange. The romantic connections in this book between a lot of the characters just kind of mucked the story. Like it muddled the story and muddied the waters, and I didn't like it. And I didn't pull for any of the relationships because of that. Like, get over your ex before you've moved on. You know what I'm saying? I said the pacing was atrocious and I was bored for most of the book. I have to be honest with you, I skimmed the last 50 pages of this book, which is typically where like all the action happens, right? Like the last 50 pages of the book are like, oh my God, I'm at the end of my seat. What's going to happen? I'm pulling for my characters. I skimmed it because I could not wait for this book to be done. I just could not care less at all. Unfortunately, the writing is just not very good, even to the point where there are typos all over this book. Poor grammar, missing words and sentences. I counted 5 or 6 typos before I honestly just told myself to stop noticing. Very true. There were all sorts of grammatical and spelling errors all throughout this book. Overall, just a very blah feeling for this book. Nothing unabashedly offensive that would make me dislike it, but stylistically, there's just not very good. It lacks refinement, and the story and the characters suffered because of it. Oh, and I put the main character smokes, which for me personally is just like a no thank you. As though I needed any other reason to not pull for him. He smoked like a chimney and I just wasn't into it. Every single time it would come onto the screen and they'd talk about him puffing away on his cigar and his cigarette or his pipe, I was just like, ugh, it gave me the ick and I didn't like it. So this is a pass for me. If you love it, love that for you, but no. And this did not help me feel any less slumpy. We have kind of struck out so far between Spite House and this, so let's hope our next spin gives me something I'm excited for, because I can feel a slump coming in hot. Okay. Handy dandy iPad in hand. I have pulled up our wheel. Let's screen record. Guys, I need like an excellent prompt right now. Like I need something that's just gonna like blow my socks off. Okay, here's our wheel. 1, 2, 3. Please give me something good. Please give me something good. Oh my God. I feel like if I get another 2-star read, I'm gonna be in a full-blown slump. What is it going to be? What is it going to be? Fang! Oh, I love Fang! I have no idea. I cannot remember what this prompt was. Okay. But I feel like Fang is not going to steer us in the wrong direction, right? Like at least this one's a little... Okay. Let me grab my phone and I'll be right back. Okay. Phone has been acquired and we are scrolling down our million prompts to F. A, B, C, D, E, F. I went too far. Okay. Scrolling back up. I will learn the alphabet at some point. Okay, found it. Here is our Fang prompt. Look at how cute he is. Fang is a Mastiff, which is really, really cute. But Hagrid's cowardly but gigantic dog. Read a book with a dog on the cover or featuring a dog. Ooh. Okay. I can't think of one off the top of my head. dog on the cover or featuring a dog. Oh, I actually see one. I'm staring at one. Okay, let me go pull some stuff from my shelves and I'll be right back. That was actually kind of harder than I thought it was going to be. I thought I had way more options of dog on the cover. I probably just missed a bunch, honestly. And I didn't go through my Kindle because that would take literally forever. I have like 1,000 books on my Kindle and I would have to sit there and scroll through. But I did find 3 options on my shelves that I think we could probably find a good one for. So let's talk about it. Okay, the first book I grabbed was Hello Stranger by Katherine Center. If you can see, this has an adorable, I'll put a better picture right here, but this has an adorable little dog on the cover, and it actually specifically looks like a Westie, which a friend of mine is obsessed with Westies and has one named Falafel, which is pretty cool. So this does specifically look like a Westie. So I think this counts. And this also is on my TBR for this month. So I really should prioritize this. I don't know much about it on purpose, but I know that I believe our main female character is an artist and has some sort of accident where she can no longer recognize faces. I think she has face blindness. I'm assuming it progresses from there. I'm not sure exactly what it's about and I don't really want to know much, but I love Katherine Center's writing. I did read The Bodyguard and her writing is simple and it goes so quickly. And I'm really going to try to prioritize picking books where I like the style, since the lack of refinement in the style is what's kind of pushing me towards a slump in the first 2 books that I tried to read for this video. So I do kind of want to try to stay with an author that I know the style appeals to me, and Katherine Center is one of those writers. So this is kind of high up on the priority list. I also grabbed Wolfsong by TJ Klune. I know it's technically not like a dog, but it's a wolf. And in my opinion, a wolf counts. This is the beautiful Waterstone edition. I don't know if you could see the gorgeous sprayed edges, but this is the beautiful Waterstones editions. I don't really know much about this either. It says, Ox Matheson was 12 when his father taught him a lesson. Ox wasn't worth anything and people would never understand him. Then he left. Ox was 16 when the energetic Bennett family moved in next door, harboring a secret that would change him forever. For the family are shapeshifters who can transform into wolves at will. Drawn to their magic, loyalty, and enduring friendship, Ox feels a gulf between this extraordinary new world and the quiet life he's known. He also finds an ally in Joe, the youngest Bennett boy. Joe is charming and handsome, but haunted by scars he cannot heal. Ox was 23 when murder came to town and tore a hole in his heart. Violence flared, tragedy split the pack, and Joe left town, leaving Ox behind. 3 years later, the boy is back, except now he's a man, and Ox can no longer ignore the song that howls between them. So I've not read anything by TJ Klune yet, but I've heard he's very hit or miss with people, but I'm going to go ahead and say this wolf counts towards our dog prompt. And then finally, I pulled the Happy Ever After playlist. That is a mouthful. The Happy Ever After playlist by Abby Jimenez off of my shelves. This does have a dog on the cover right here. I'll post a better picture here. It does have a dog on the cover. However, I'm a little bit hesitant to choose this one because although these are interconnected standalones, and I don't think you necessarily have to read them in order to understand them, the Friend Zone actually came first in this interconnected standalone series. And I like to read things in chronological order because I think these characters are going to pop up in this book. So I don't know if I really want to read them out of sequence. So if I'm looking at all 3 of our options, I honestly think the only choice is going to be Hello Stranger by Katherine Center. Like I said, this is on my TBR, so I do kind of want to prioritize it anyways to knock a book that's actually on my TBR off of it for the month. But also, this is the one that sounds the best, and I think I'm putting the most faith in Katherine Center's writing to keep me diverting away from this slump that I'm feeling coming on really, really quickly. And I'm actually genuinely excited to read this book, so this is going to be our next one for our Fang prompt. Okay, officially the next morning, and I am sitting here in my rot spot. My rot spot, as I call it. I'm actually upstairs for once. Typically I'm down like in my office, in my reading corner, in my library reading, but I wanted to come up here today because it's so beautiful out, and I have the windows open and the doors open, and there's a gorgeous cross breeze, and there's a cool breeze. It's so pretty. Fall in Connecticut it really is something special. I mean, it is the season before the season of death. That is winter, and I hate it so much, but I can appreciate a New England fall. There is something very magical about it, and the leaves are starting to change, and it's just beautiful out. So I wanted to come up here and sit, stare at the leaves, feel the breeze. But I did start Hello Stranger by Catherine Center on my Kindle this morning. I didn't make it too far. I think I made it through like chapter 3, I think. Yeah, chapter 3. I think I'm on page like 30 something. But this book is doing exactly what I was hoping it would do. There is something very simple and special about Catherine Center's writing. And if you have kind of watched a lot of my videos before, you know that there's 2 genres I have a complicated relationship with. That is mystery thriller in general, and romantic comedy specifically. For me, romantic comedy walks a very thin line between cute banter, realistic giggles, and an absolute shit show mess of a character that just makes you cringe and gives you the ick, and you're like, people like this don't exist in real life. Like, I could never have someone like this in my life. The girl that can't walk into a room without making an absolute idiot out of herself 100% of the time, or the main male character that's such a mess, it's unattractive. Like, rom-com for me has to be done in a super realistic, funny, I could imagine myself in that sort of situation way. Like, I like realistic comedy where you go, oh my God, who hasn't been in that situation? And I don't mind cringe, like that moment where you pull up to the drive-thru and they say like, oh, enjoy your food, and without thinking you just go, you too, and then you drive away and you're like, you too, and you feel stupid. That's realistic. Everyone's done that. But when they talk about like slapstick, stupid, like stuff that legitimately you're showing such a low IQ that I think you would get let go from your job type of stuff, and this character does it on like a minute by minute basis throughout 400 pages of a book, I can't. It gives me secondhand embarrassment, and I have to put the book down. That for me has been like Tessa Bailey type writing. Like, she is all right. It Happened One Summer and Hook, Line, and Sinker were decent, but like all the other stuff I've tried to read from Tessa Bailey has just given me such bad secondhand embarrassment to the point where like I cringe while I'm reading it, and I find myself not loving the characters. Catherine Center is an example for me of rom-com done right. It is a little corny, it is a little quirky, like stuff happens and you're kind of just like, oh, that was embarrassing, but the dialogue is realistic, the situations are realistic, the responses to the situations are realistic, and it's more slice of life in that like everyone has had a similar embarrassing situation happen, so you kind of relate to the character and you end up liking them as opposed to being embarrassed by them. My air conditioning just kicked on, sorry. So this is doing exactly what I was hoping it was going to do, in that I'm enjoying it. I'm kind of giggling along with the story and the characters so far. I'm not that far in, but so far. I'm not going to give you too much about the book yet. I don't like to do that until I'm further into the book, but her storylines are very simple to understand. It's like a low brain power type of book, but this right here is going to prevent me from going into a slump because I want to keep reading this. I like the characters and I want to know what happens. So let's keep reading, and I'll come back in a little bit once I have a better handle on the storyline. Okay, sorry, it hasn't even been that long, but there's something about Catherine Center's writing that is just so uncomplicated, but says things in such a beautiful, relatable way. Listen to this. I just read this. Peanut is our main character, Sadie's dog. Okay, ready? And she is dealing with some hard things right now. She's kind of having an introspective moment, and honestly a little bit of like an existentialism moment, like she's thinking about her life and mortality. And she says, sitting next to Peanut today, as my brain spun and tried to take in this new reality, for the first time in a while, I felt the bitter longing that always seeped through me whenever I really missed my mom. It stood off to the side of all other feelings, damp and cold, as if my soul had been rained on and couldn't seem to dry out. Most of the time, I tried to just feel grateful for the time I'd had with her. I knew I'd been so lucky. Every Sunday, she bought a bouquet of flowers at the grocery store. Then every morning, she'd snip one of the flowers out of the bouquet and wear it behind her ear. I don't have a memory of my mom without a flower behind her ear, even on the day we buried her. God. Because that was the most essential thing about my mom. She couldn't always fix things for me, but she was always there until the day she wasn't. It's just beautifully written. I just keep reading that over again. It stood off to the side of all other feelings, damp and cold, as if my soul had been rained on and couldn't seem to dry out. I don't know why that's resonating with me so much, but I've had feelings before. And that feeling where you're sitting in a feeling, and even when you've moved on with your day, it's still hiding in the back of your mind. It's a feeling as though your soul had been rained on and couldn't seem to dry out. Or your brain had been rained on and it just couldn't dry out. I don't know. Going back to reading, but I love her writing. I really do. And this is what will keep me out of a slump. Reading stuff like that. Newton, you moved the camera. Are you good now? Okay. As long as you're comfortable. I exist around you, bud. No problem.
Always had a way to make it work and find another route. Always had a way to make it work and find another route.
Okay, sorry that my lighting seems a little bit dark right now. I'm not sure why. I must have a bulb out somewhere and I just don't realize it. But I am now, according to Goodreads, about 42% of the way through Hello Stranger. I am on page 137, chapter 14. So I've read this little like slice up here. And let's talk about it. So I have a good grasp on the story now, of course, 100 and almost 40 pages in. The very basic gist of this story is our main female character, Sadie, was following in her father's footsteps, going to medical school. He had kind of planned, their plan had been that she would be a doctor. And she realized while she was in med school that like doctoring wasn't for her, and she switched to a fine arts degree, which was kind of a disappointment for her father. He's a doctor. He really wanted his daughter to follow in his footsteps and be a doctor. And since then, she has, as much as she doesn't want to admit it, Sadie has always wanted to impress him. I think she does feel like that was a bit of a disappointment to him and she wants to impress him, and their relationship suffered for it a little bit. So she finds out that she's a finalist in this competition, this art competition, and she thinks her dad is finally going to be proud of her if she could win this big cash prize, and unfortunately has a medical issue and has to have brain surgery, which causes her to become face blind, meaning that it's described as she basically sees people's faces as like a cubism in Picasso. Like she only sees individual features, but she can't put the full face together. So she might be able to recognize that you have full lips, but she can't match it to the rest of your face, which I would imagine is incredibly difficult, especially when you are a primarily portrait artist. That is basically what we know so far. Right now, we're not entirely sure if this face blindness is temporary or if it's permanent, but it's just Sadie trying to learn how to cope with this situation. Okay, next morning, full disclosure, last night while I was like giving my synopsis of Hello Stranger, my husband came home with my boys and I ran upstairs to see them because my son had a baseball game that I had gone to, and then they went to play soccer afterwards, and I ran upstairs to see them, and of course, in true teenage and preteen boy fashion, they were hungry again. So I got distracted cooking food and hanging out with them for the night, and I never came back to finish my thoughts. So I'm going to do that here. I gave you a synopsis of this book last night, but I didn't get to give you my thoughts so far. My thoughts 50% of the way through the book are exactly what I was saying before. Catherine Center is, I think, becoming an author for me that is probably just always going to hit, and do what I think she is intending her books to do. This book is not to be taken seriously. I think it has some serious undertones, but it's not, a literary fiction in that it's trying to make a larger commentary on the world and the human race as we live it. It's just supposed to free you of reality so that you can read for a little while. And I think that's why she is so great at getting me out of slumps, because her writing is simple, her writing is fast-paced, her characters are likable, her dialogue and her banter is funny while being realistic, and it's just an easy, good, lighthearted little time. And I say lighthearted, and what Sadie is going through is not a lighthearted thing. In fact, I bet you this has to be pretty scary and very uncertain and unsettling. But the way that Catherine Center writes about it and the way that Sadie is handling it is not something that makes you feel depressed or heavy in your heart. It's lighthearted. Sadie says funny things about it. She's learning how to cope with it. She is a little bit cynical, but not in an unlikable, miserable way that drags you down. I don't know if I'm doing a good job describing this, but her writing seems positive and lighthearted even when her characters are going through really hard things. And I think that positivity is what keeps me from slipping further into a slump. And I'm just speculating, because I haven't nailed down exactly what I like so much about her style yet, but I think that's part of it. And I can sit down with a Catherine Center book and just binge. I don't get bored. I don't find myself getting frustrated with the characters. It's just good, easy, lighthearted writing. And that's why I like her writing. So this is going really well so far. I have an incredibly busy day. My son has a home game. My other son has an away game. And it's just a busy day all around today. So I'm going to be doing a lot of mobile reading, as I call it, like reading on the run while I'm going back and forth between different events with my kids. I believe my husband is off today as well, so I don't know if there's anything on his schedule. So hopefully I catch a little bit of B-roll, but I really, really hope that I could bang out the other 50% of this today. Not only because I want to finish another book, but because I'm actually genuinely enjoying it and I want to see what ends up happening with Sadie and a couple of our other characters. So let's see how much progress I can make today, but I am 50% of the way through, so that's good. It's official. I just finished Hello Stranger by Catherine Center, and I am giving this 4 stars. This was so cute. Catherine Center's writing is always really cute. It's fast-paced. It's not too serious. It doesn't take itself too seriously either. This did touch on, I'm probably going to horribly pronounce this, but is it propagnasia? Something like that, which is the medical term for face blindness. I'm probably mispronouncing that, and I apologize. But it did touch on that medical condition, and it gave some good information about it. And then actually, after the epilogue at the end, there's a couple of pages specifically about face blindness as a medical condition, which I found really, really interesting. I really liked it. It's cute. It's a little corny. Her writing kind of is. It is closed door, so if you're looking for spice, this is not going to be the author or the books for you, at least not until this point. I've read The Bodyguard and now this one, and neither of them are super, super spicy, but it was really good. She is an author that I can always just kind of rely on. Like, I could pick up one of her books and I'm going to enjoy it. Now, is it going to be my top read of the year? No, they're usually not, but they're very cute, they're very good, and they go really fast. So 4 stars, and I'm remotivated to read. So I was trying to think about how many books I actually wanted to do in this video. And just because my first one was a DNF, am I going to regret this decision? Because I think I want to do another spin. Should we do that? I think we should. All right, let's grab my iPad and do another spin. Okay, iPad is acquired. Let's go ahead and screen record. All right, guys, so I am very nervous about this because I am still very much like hovering on a book slump. Like, I feel like I'm trying to crest the hill. So this spin will either determine whether I coast down it and I'm good to go, or whether I slip right back into a slump. So I'm really hoping that this gives me a good one. So let's not delay any longer because I'm nervous. Let's find out what prompt we're gonna get, okay? Okay. Give me a good one. Give me a good one. I am so in a romance mood, like specifically smutty romance. Hopefully this gives me something good. Really? Grop? Okay, all right. Let's grab my phone and look. Maybe this is good. Maybe. But Grop is not giving me good vibes. Okay, let's find out. We're gonna be positive. Okay, Grop. This is ridiculous. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, here it is. Grop. Giant and Hagrid's half-brother, but not discussed too much in the books or movies. Read a book that is not very talked about or that you had never heard of before. Oh! Not very talked about or that I had never heard of before I bought it. Okay, let me go search and I will get right back to you. Actually, I didn't even really need to search my shelves. That was way easier than I thought because I was sitting here thinking about the books that I had to prioritize. And while I was thinking about that, trying to decide where I was going to start looking on my shelves, I realized that a book I have to prioritize is one that I hardly ever hear people talking about anymore. Maybe when it first came out, but this is an older series. So I didn't ever hear anybody talking about this book when I bought it. And that is a book I have to read anyways, which is A Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. Now, this is an older book, so admittedly, maybe when it first released, it was like hot on the scene, but I literally never hear people talking about this book. Maybe I hear like Strange the Dreamer and Muse of Nightmares, which are like the newer one in this like interconnected series. But this one, I purchased it without ever knowing. I just thought the cover was really pretty. In fact, when I saw how many books she'd written, I was kind of surprised because I never hear anybody talking about her. So I have to read this anyways for our buddy read along with all of my girlies, and we are having a live discussion on the 29th, so I have to prioritize this book, and I never hear anybody talking about it. So we are going to do Laini Taylor's Daughter of Smoke and Bone as our Grop book pick. That actually turned out way better than I thought it was going to be. Thank you, Grop. Whoever thought we would say those words. Thanks, Grop. Coffee, 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 coffee. Okay. Next morning, the kids are at school. My husband's asleep upstairs still. He's going to sleep in today. But yesterday was so productive. Like all around productive. I got so much stuff done, but also I got so much of this book done. I sat down. I have the physical copy and I have it on Kindle. I think it's Kindle Unlimited. Yeah, it's Kindle Unlimited. So I have it on Kindle and I sat down and I started reading it. And let me tell you something right now. This book reads so fast. Like the chapters are very short and it just reads really quickly. It's a really simple writing style. But I ran into this problem where I was like at the end of a chapter and I wanted to keep going, but I actually had work to do yesterday. And I had about 4 loads of laundry that I've been putting off folding for literally like a week. So I had to get that done. Like I had stuff that I couldn't procrastinate doing any longer, but I wanted to keep reading. Like I didn't want to put this book down. So I went on to Libby and I was able to grab the audiobook. And audiobooks for me are very like hit and miss, you know? Like for me, and the narrator makes or breaks the audiobook. I sometimes struggle with audiobooks and like the narrator doing all the characters' different voices, super cringy. Like I get secondhand embarrassment really, really fast and I can't focus on the story. I just find it so like, I don't know. There's something about somebody standing in a booth and doing like 12 different characters' voices that's just like, I don't like it. I've never listened to a graphic audio where like different actors read the different parts. So I don't know if that would like fix that problem for me. But for me, audiobooks can be just a little cringy. Like sometimes I listen to them, like the narrator read like the actual like paragraphs of world building. And I'm like, okay, this isn't bad. And then the main character comes on the page and she does the voice for the main character. And I'm like, okay, I get it. And then her father comes on the page and she's like, "Rrr." She gets like, I can't do it. But I saw that Libby had this audiobook for Daughter of Smoke and Bone available immediately. And I was like, I have so much to do today. And I'm literally at the end of the chapter that I cannot stop. Like I want to know what happens. And I was just really liking the writing style. So I downloaded it. And this narrator does do like literally different voices for every character. And there's a lot of characters in this book. But for some reason, it's not cringing me out that bad. So I like this narrator. So I did download, or I borrowed the Daughter of Smoke and Bone audiobook from Libby. And I listened to it while I drove, while I worked, while I folded laundry, literally all day. And the result of that was that I made it 68% and 286 pages through Daughter of Smoke and Bone yesterday. So I made it through that entire section and I have this little sliver left, which I think that page count, like that percentage also includes like reading the acknowledgments and the author's note and stuff at the end. So I'm probably just a little bit farther than that. How many pages are there in this book? Okay, yeah, see there's like a behind the scenes like chapter. Okay, 418 and I'm on page 286. What is that? Like 130 pages till the end of the book. So that is so productive. So now I find myself 24 hours later and 68% of the way through the book, and I worked and I got all my housework done. That's crazy. So I'm going to continue listening to the audio today because I actually do have a little bit of work I have to do. And I find myself driving by Barnes & Noble today on my way back from some of my work errands. So I might stop at Barnes and just take a peruse, just take a browse. I did get a couple of books the other day that I had to pick up. So maybe we'll do like a little mini haul at some point in this video, but I don't know, mayhaps we will stop at Barnes. But in the meantime, I am going to unload and load my dishwasher back up, fold another load of laundry, and I'm going to listen to the audiobook. But I wanted to stop in and tell you guys what this is about, basically, if you have not read it. So this book is about our main female character, Karou, and she was raised by demons, which I don't think she realizes they're demons. They're just like her family. She was raised by a family that was basically demons, and they're demon creatures. So I know she talks about Brimstone, who has like the face of an ox and the body of something else. I don't remember. But there's another one that has like a human torso, but like the bottom half of a snake. I think her name is Issa. So she was raised by these demon creatures, but she has these strange tattoos and marks all over her body that she's really never explained her past or where they came from. Those demons never really explain that to her, but she lives out in the human world, keeping it a secret that she has this demon family. She's actually an art student at an art school, and on the side she just gets called back to her demon family to run these errands for them. She collects teeth from around the world, and she doesn't really know what these teeth are used for, but they have some sort of either magical or financial significance. And then during one of her errands in Morocco, she's picking up teeth from this dealer in Morocco, and she spots a beautiful man across this market that she's in, and she's just inexplicably drawn to him. And I'm not going to say anything else about Akiva, who's the man that she's drawn to, but basically this book is about the war between archangels and demons. And let me tell you something, it is so good. I am eating this book up. I'm loving it. And Laini Taylor's writing, beautiful. Beautiful. Loving her writing in this book. I mean, it's quick and it's simple, but it's descriptive and it doesn't bog you down, right? Like her descriptions are vivid and I can picture them in my head, but I'm not like, oh my God, this is so wordy. It's very simple, not overcomplicated, not wordy. And I am loving this writing, and the concept of this book is so good and so unique. I'm absolutely loving this. If you have been on the fence about picking up Daughter of Smoke and Bone, I would say do it, because I'm going to finish this in like 30 hours today. I just know it. So I'm going to continue with the audiobook. I'm going to fold some laundry. I'm going to go do my work, maybe stop at Barnes, and we will touch base in a little while.
I've been seeking for the glory. Say my name. And I've been trying to write my own story in the search for fame. I'm sitting here in this empty room. Walls keep tumbling down, down. 'Cause I ain't got nobody. I always feel so lonely when the day is through. I'm in the spotlight, night on till midnight. I want somebody to hold my hand. 'Cause I got my head in the clouds, but I'm getting really scared of heights. I used to spend time with all my friends, but who's gonna like me if I'm not there? 'Cause I got my head in the clouds, but I'm getting really scared of heights. I try to get everyone to see me. I play my games, but I just end up looking like a showcase. I haven't myself to blame. I'm sitting here in this empty room. Walls keep tumbling down, down. 'Cause I ain't got nobody. So lonely when the day is through. I'm in the spotlight, not home till midnight. I want somebody to hold my hand. 'Cause I got my head in the clouds, but I'm getting really scared of heights. I used to spend time with all my friends, but who's gonna like me if I'm not there? 'Cause
Good news! I officially finished Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I am so shocked to tell you that I think I did like 75% of this book on audiobook, which is so unusual for me because I'm really not an audiobook kind of girl, but this one was pretty decent, and I've had a busy couple of days, so sitting down and actually reading with my eyeballs probably wasn't going to happen, and it was so convenient to be able to drive my kids around, sit at practice, fold laundry, cook dinner, and listen to an audiobook that didn't drive me up a wall crazy with how much I hate it. So for most of this book, it was sitting at like a 4.25. Sometimes I'd get super into one particular chapter and I was like, ooh, maybe this is a 4.5. But I think overall it was sitting at a 4.25 until like the last 6 chapters, where the author made some strange stylistic choices. Like she just started like skipping the timeline back and forth in the last 6 chapters, and it was done in a very non-cohesive way where it got super confusing. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I actually messaged Karina on Instagram and I was like, girl, because she's reading this at the same time, and I was like, I don't know if it's just me, but I am so confused. Like I have legitimately no idea what's happening. I did figure it out and I do understand it by the end of the book, but literally the last 6 chapters, I don't know why she changed the style up and made that decision. I'm like trying to figure out, it's not even like that was the only option. She could have easily just continued the style in chronological order like she was. Like every once in a while you'd get a little flashback, but this was jarring with no context and it was done in such a confusing way. And I wish that she hadn't done that. I wish she had just told it the way the rest of the book is written, because it was a bit jarring, I think is the best way I'm going to say it. It's not that hard to understand. I'm probably being dramatic, but for that stylistic reason, I dropped it down and I'm officially giving this a 4-star. This was excellent. It was very good. And obviously I read it in 31 hours. So it's a very quick read and it's very, very good. And man, what a unique concept. So if you are into YA fantasy romantasy, definitely YA romantasy. There are some allusions to a little bit of spice. So I'd give this like either 1/2 chili pepper or 1 chili pepper, because they definitely do allude to it, but there's nothing graphic. So if you're into like YA non-spicy romantasy, this is a really good option. You have angels, you have demons, you have a war for the world, you have forbidden love. It's very, very good. So 4.25, I really enjoyed it. And just like that, another Harry Potter weekly challenge is down. We had a pretty good week of reading. It kind of started out a little rough, but then it ended on a high note. So let's talk about what we read this week. I don't want to talk about this book anymore. I want to go the rest of my life without ever thinking about this book ever again. Ever. So let's just get this out of the way. The first book was our Peeves pick, and it was a mystery thriller featuring a ghost, and unfortunately, I chose The Spite House by Johnny Compton. Yeah, Johnny Compton. I'm not gonna rant about this anymore. This almost put me directly into a slump after only like 6 chapters. It was hot dumpster fire garbage, and it will be going immediately to a little free library so that somebody else who maybe this was geared towards could enjoy it more, because I am not the one. So we're not even talking about it. 0 stars, DNF. I will go the rest of my life without ever thinking about this book again. The second prompt was Diagon Alley, and the prompt was to pick a book whose author was some sort of alley, right? And we chose A Fragile Enchantment by Allison Saft, and I gave this 2.5 stars. I was kind of conflicted about this because I thought that the premise was so good and it had so much potential, but the execution was just really, really bad. This book is not well written at all, but it had a lot of potential and it wasn't horrible. It just fell flat. So 2.5 stars, perfectly average. I might have maybe fallen prey to a little bit of like high expectations because I was pretty excited for this book. So maybe I built it up to something that it couldn't ultimately perform up to in my head, but perfectly average, right smack dab in the middle of our 5-star rating. Next up, we got our Fang prompt, and that was a dog with a book on the cover. And that was a book with a dog on the cover. And we chose Hello Stranger by Catherine Center, which does in fact have our little dog Peanut on the cover. And I gave this book a 4-star. Like I said a million times, Catherine Center I think is going to always be one of those authors that just kind of like hits for me. It's nothing that's going to blow my socks off, but it's also just really, really good, really easy, fun, quirky, corny, good time. And last but not least, our wheel was really nice to me because I honestly had to read this book by the end of the week anyways. And that was our Grop prompt. Say that 6 times fast. Grop prompt. That was our Grop prompt. And that was read a book that you haven't seen anyone talking about or that you hadn't heard of before you purchased it. And that was Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. I don't see anyone really talking about this book. It might be because it's just a little bit old, but this is a new cover. It did just recently get republished and it's been picked up by Little Brown Publishing. So I haven't seen anybody talk about it, but I ended up giving this, like I said, 4 stars and really enjoyed it. And now I am moving on to A Night of Cake and Puppets, which is the novella that comes after this book, because Dana, Karina, Kaylani, and I are reading all of Laini Taylor's collective works in the next couple of months, and that is next up on my list. So excited to do that. And that is it, guys. That is our week of reading. Yet another Harry Potter success. I had so much fun. It started out a little rough, like I said before, but Harry Potter can do no wrong, so it's okay. It's just clearing books off my shelves. If you have stayed this long, go ahead and comment the smoke emoji for Daughter of Smoke and Bone, and then do all the things that you are so professional at, like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.